Hello, welcome back. My name is Kevin Zdrill. I'm the host of this podcast, All Eyes on Me, about the true life story of Vincent Lillie, true story of addiction, recovery, and hope. And this is podcast number 10. Welcome with us again. Hi, Vincent.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. Always super good to have you back and discussing more of the topics detailed in your book about your life's journey. And I thought today would be kind of relevant to discuss kids and the influence that we can have on kids, positive and negative, and some of the thoughts and ideas that you had mentioned in your book. Um, because you do talk about your thoughts in terms of kids in schools and parenting. I wanted to kind of bring to light what you had written. You said that parents are a very powerful influence on children. Parents shape thinking, behaviors, actions, and life choices. Schools are another powerful influence on children in multiple ways. They educate, create an arena for socializing, structure, rules, discipline, excitement, and wonderment. You've had experience going to schools and presenting in front of children. What's your approach when you stand in front of a class of kids?
I think for me, I kind of try and stick to one approach, whether I'm in a school or whether I'm in front of just one kid. Um, I basically just I don't want to try and come off like I'm telling them what to do or I know everything. Kind of just want to maybe be friendly and build a little bit of a kind of get to know them and build a bit of a relationship with them as quickly as I can. And yeah, because I notice kids can shut down pretty quickly depending on what you say to them. If you're not, like if you're coming off like sounding like you're trying to tell them what to do, or you're their parent or something, they don't really respond to that very well. So I think I usually just try and have one approach and just kind of try and lighten the mood a little bit at first.
Yeah, that's, as you detailed in your book too, that, you said that you don't want to go in there saying, this is what you do, this is what you don't do. You want to relate to them. And that way, um, when you tell your story, it's more believable and more that they can relate to you, right? And what you're saying to them.
Well, I think what it really has to do with when you think about it, when you're going in there, you have to understand what you're doing before you do it. And for me, what I understood was it's like almost any other situation when you're talking to anybody. You want to try and control the emotion that the people have when you're talking, because that's how they're going to react. Like, for instance, if you're talking to somebody and like for instance, if you walk into the room, when you first walk into the room, you start talking to kids right away. They're a little bit standoffish, right? They're like, what's this all about? Who's this? Whatever, right? And so they have that feeling and that emotion attached to that, and so that's how they're gonna react. They're gonna react to that emotion, right? So when you want them to react to whatever emotion it is that you cause, and so if you cause a more calmer, relaxed feeling, then you can get a bit of a better response from them.
You identify in your book that it's so important for kids to have structure, but to have activities. Um, and in the book, you mentioned it's important for fun things to do because being part of that can help build them up for their future. Um, and we shouldn't just give them something that'll help them for the moment, such as video games. Um, it's stuff like sports, and it's an escape from the chaos and unsafe environment at home. So that keeps them away from negative activities, right? Having some structure to their days and something that they can ground themselves into.
Yeah, I think something that sticks out to me is they say if you want to change the world, start at home, right? So it makes a lot of sense because home is where the heart is, right? And so like you're only going to be as good as you are when you're, as you at your home is going to be where you're going to be your best, where you want to be your best. And so that's kind of where it should all start, right?
And exactly. And that's how you identified it within the book. You had said here, a good, healthy relationship with your children isn't about not getting upset at them when they do something wrong so much as it is how we react to it. So it truly comes down to training yourself to react in a better way, because that'll be the guide to how they are going to grow up. So you want to build that trust with them, that when they do have big issues in their life, they're coming to you, not other people.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, it's something that a lot of parents, all parents, struggle with, is the way that they react to when the kids, do things wrong or make a mistake. Um, you got to also know too that these kids, they pay attention to your facial expressions and all that kind of stuff when these things happen. I've been noticing it with my daughter specifically, that she does that to me all the time. I'm getting a lot better. Like I used to be completely honest, I used to yell a lot when I was in like using drugs and that, and whenever things would happen when they would make mistakes, the kids, I would yell a lot. And so now I know that that doesn't work. It's not good. So I've definitely gotten a lot better with letting them know that no matter what they do, it's okay. It's, mistakes are going to happen. But I've been noticing now that I can keep my calm a little bit more. She stares at my face while the incidents are happening. So it's like she's literally trying to read my reaction. And she says to me that, you still look angry. She'll say it. She said to me one time, "You still look angry." Oh, I said, "Well, yeah, of course I still look angry, but I mean, you got to understand that just because I react a certain way to whatever it is that you do, it has nothing to do with you. It's me. We all have our issues with anger, and we all struggle on figuring out how to control it and to deal with it." And so, yeah, I've noticed that for sure, that kids, they're very smart in that way. It's like even animals, people don't know, like dogs, I think, they read your expressions, right? That's what they go off of, is your facial expressions and that. So yeah, kids, they do that a lot too.
That's a good observation. It's interesting too. It's when you mention anger that, all parents, have it. It's natural. It's an emotion, but we shouldn't be ashamed of the anger too. I mean, it's a natural emotion. In many ways, it's a matter of harnessing that anger, but in a positive way.
Yeah, I think just the most important thing that's worked for me is to not try and overwhelm yourself with making some great, huge, big change in your anger, because the only person that you should be in competition with is who you were yesterday. So when it comes to that quote, um, basically, progress can be very small, but as long as you're making progress in any amount, it's good in any way. So like, you don't want to get yourself overwhelmed with thinking that you have to just change overnight, because it's not going to happen. So when you can face that and realize that, come to terms with that, you're trying, and like they say, all you can do is all you can do, and all you can do is enough, right? So
Well, that's just it. So it's again, it's small steps, but it's the attempt that makes a big difference. Um, we look at children; they're obviously very intelligent. They read our expressions, and working with kids, especially coming from pasts that have a lot of trauma involved, um, justice system. It's it's a it's a difficult approach, right? Trying to make that relationship and build that relationship and earn that trust.
yeah, I think it is, because I mean, you obviously, everybody's going through life, living their lives, and they have a lot of other aspects to their lives, not just their children, right? So, to try and as adults, we're trying to get all that stuff in order at the same time, while we're trying to, deal with our kids. And that, when we say, like, pick them up from school, at the end of the day, um, you've already had your own day outside of them. And so, it's a lot. But I mean, the thing is, you just got to you got to be trying, and that's like all you can do. Like, you got to just do your best. That's it.
What do you think in terms of mentorship for kids? I mean, that seems to be probably one of the most powerful relationships to be built, especially for, kids that are 12, 13, 14, 15 years old and are starting to really build their identity, and if they're being influenced by, gangs or crime, um, the schools themselves aren't going to change that. Parents themselves may not change it, but that mentorship, if they can latch on to someone and build a rapport and learn from your experiences, that's going to go such a powerful way.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing for, I think, all kids, because it gives them kind of like an outside outlet, and you're not their parent. You can maybe be looked at as a friend, and that's basically the approach that I take when I'm mentoring kids, is that, like, I just want to just not go in there trying to act like you're going to change their lives overnight, but just basically just talk to them and give them a safe place to talk and to express themselves. And then while you're doing that, you plant the seeds of the things that you want to help them. And you got to make sure that you don't feel overwhelmed and think that you're going to change them overnight or help them overnight. But all you do is just drop those those little things here and there. And I know it's happened to me when I was a kid. There were some things that people have said that have stayed, and I still know I've learned them now. And so that's basically what I do with kids. And with the mentorship, like I said, it's a good place for them to kind of express themselves, because when they're with their parents, they're probably going to be always kind of a little bit standoffish with fully expressing themselves. So it's kind of good for kids.
For sure. And I think that it doesn't really matter at what age, the sooner the better they can start to have mentorship. It goes a long way. Um, and that's where your life experience has really, come into play, because again, you're speaking from the heart, you're speaking from your experiences growing up, as harsh as they were. And to even turn, one kid in a different pathway, that's success, right? That gives the hope for that person and for others.
Oh, definitely. Like, my basically that's all I care about, really, is is just making a change, making a difference. And as crazy as of all the stuff that I've been involved in, and as bad as I might have looked at times, that person was always there that wanted to be doing the opposite of what I was doing. I just got tainted by all the stuff that was around me, and um, I was searching to find my identity. And until I found it, then I was going to be stuck to whatever and attached to whatever it was that I was around. And I wasn't around very good things. So it just took me uh, wanting to truly find myself. And then once I did, I could make those changes to steer myself away from that.
So what's your message to kids? A 14, 15-year-old, um, it's sad when you hear that they feel no hope, they see no future, and they're living life by the minute. But there is a future, there is hope, and we need to find a way to communicate that to them. As bad as their situation is, that's not their life.
Yeah. I think, I don't know. I always like to just tell people just to be themselves, right? That's like a very important thing, is because going through society as a kid, as a teenager, basically you're very malleable, right? So you're like a sponge, like they say when you're a kid, right? So like you're just following anything and everything. And when you have those kids who are uh, abused or whatever the case may be that's caused them to be angry or hurt, they're even more likely to just latch on to whatever it is that's around them. So yeah, I think I just would like to just try and let them know to be themselves and not trying to pretend or to try and act like they're somebody or something else.
How do we break that cycle? I mean, that's the question we're all searching for, and we talk about it in the book. We don't want to keep doing things the way we keep doing it. We've got family services, we've got youth facilities, and we've got social workers, but I think collectively we all need to kind of get together and rethink in terms of how can we make a difference now to stop doing the same thing over and over again.
I think just be persistent. You have to be persistent and be consistent, because we're making a change. You know what I mean? It's a very slow change in the things that have been done over time, but ultimately we just have to just keep going. And I've noticed that society in a lot of ways has changed. You know what I mean? Even like specifically, let's say like with racism, or like people being racist about people who are gay. Like you can't make jokes today about people's races or people being gay. You can't do that anymore. And that just goes to show that it's making a big change in those areas, that it's possible. You know what I mean? Like when I was younger, people used to always joke around about stuff like that when I was a kid, and they thought it was funny. But you can't do that anymore. And that just giving you a little bit of an idea of how things are changing. So I think we just got to just stay the process and just keep doing what it is that a lot of us are doing, and not lose hope.
Yeah, that's so key. And you've been through the school system, and that's changed a lot too. I mean, the segregation that you went through, that's gone. Inclusion is everything now, and trying to identify kids and families that are struggling with serious issues in the home. And it's a family change is what needs to occur, right? It's not just the child itself. And again, that's where kind of your work, your intervention, and with the people you're associating with, to try to get in there and help, not just the children, but also the families too.
Well, one thing that sticks out to me is I'm thinking about, like, so I'm 39 years old now, and it took me how long to figure out the things that I figured out about life and about how it truly is, and how the mind is really what it is. The mind is really the battleground for us all, and it always will be. But so I figured it out when I'm 39, and I'm starting to use the positive affirmations with my kids and that now. So they're going to be potentially learning that at a well younger age than I did. So right there, just let you know, if people are doing that, I'm sure there's other people that are doing it too. That's all it takes, is you got to start getting them when they're younger, teaching them that stuff when they're younger, and then as they go through life, they'll figure out how the whole key about what life really is about.
That's a wonderful takeaway, and that is proof that the cycle is changing, and the influence we're having is coming forward. Before we part today, what's your message? What's your message out there to the communities, families, systems that we could use just to say, hey, let's start doing some stuff this way?
I think probably a good message would just be for the parents, because that's where it's going to start now. Is just to not be hard on yourself about any mistakes that you make with your kids or in life, because that's what life is all about, is making mistakes. And it's not making the mistakes that defines you, it's how you react to them. And so your reaction is what we need to try and work on. And as long as you're willing to make the change, then you're on a good route, you're on a good path. So don't get down on yourself about things, because all it takes is just the want and the will to change.
Wonderful. That's a very good inspiration to to leave off with our podcast today. Thank you again for your time and your wisdom. I know I appreciate it, as do all the listenership. And looking forward very much to our next upcoming podcast.
Me too. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Vincent.
Thank you.